Alright, today we're going to discuss the HTC Thunderbolt water damage service that we provide. As you see, we removed the metal casing over top of the motherboard and other sensitive features. We do this here. There's proof that there was water damage. You see the stain. The front of the screen looks fine. But the ribbon cable for the LCD does show a burn mark, which I will show in a second. That ribbon cable there is for the bottom button controls. That's in good shape. Right there in the top, not that one, that's the digitizer. Right there is the burn mark. That's on the LCD. And that's a bad sign, and the LCD in fact did not work. We had to replace that on this specific phone, which did not power on at all when we started out. And here is the motherboard. It was in really bad shape. I should have taken pictures before, but it was in really bad shape with corrosion before we started. And after we put it through our ultrasonic cleaner, you know, it looked a lot better. There's a little bit of a corrosion mark, the white mark above that metal. You can still see it. That some things just don't come off. But when you remove the metal casing over the motherboard, some phones you can do it, and then others are soldered on there so you can't do it. And we don't suggest, you know, trying to break the soldering off, and you can just cause more damage to the device when you do that. But if they allow you to take the metal off, like we did here, do it. You know, just do it gently, pry it around, and then, assuming you don't have an ultrasonic cleaner at home, you can take the 99% plus alcohol and a soft brush and gently wipe away the corrosion. You can even submerge the motherboard in the alcohol for just a little bit and clean out all the connectors. And that can sometimes do the trick. You know, it's not going to clean everything, but it can, maybe 50-50 chance of rehabbing your phone to some degree. So here I am putting the casing back on. Again, just be careful when you put it back on that you don't screw anything up. And you had some parts where I loosened it, the edges are sticking out a little bit, so you're gonna see me with there I'm snapping it in to place. But you're gonna see me take the plastic tool, the safety pry tool, and just kind of gently push some things back into place so it holds. The good thing about this device was there was the black fry marks on the LCD, which means we had to change out the LCD, but where it connects into the motherboard there were no marks, and that's good. That's a very good thing. Because to replace an LCD, you know, it costs maybe $70. It's continually going down in price, but when we filmed this, $70. And there's the camera. We had to remove both the front-facing and rear-facing cameras before, you know, submerging it in liquid. They both look like they were in good shape, and in fact worked after we did the repair service. So, we got the metal casing back on, we have the cameras back in. I'm sorry I did not have it to show you how I did it, but it's pretty easy to figure out, and obviously you've already disassembled the phone if you've gotten to this point. You know, you just want to be careful with the connectors that you don't break them. So be gentle with those. once you break a connector, you pretty much ruin the phone. Okay, well here I am putting the front-facing camera in actually. There's the tape that originally went on there. I saved it and reapplied the tape the best that I can. The HTC Thunderbolt, when you first work with it, it seems like a ridiculous phone to take apart and put back together, but once you've done a few of them, it's actually a pretty easy phone. There's some slight imperfections that are almost unavoidable at times, but I'll get to those in a second. But they are slight imperfections, and I know some people are more perfectionists than others, but this is something you have to deal with. So here we are, putting the LCD and digitizer back into the motherboard. Oh, whoop, I missed. They line up pretty well though. This isn't very difficult. And I got with those in. I just take the safety pry tool, make sure they're in there all the way. If you don't quite push it in all the way, it won't work, and then you'll think you have a bad part when actually the part is good. So you want to make sure you do this part right, so you don't have to disassemble it all again and double check everything and turn a hour-long project into a 2-hour project, or a 2-hour project into a 4-hour project, like happens so often, even when you're experienced. And now you can flip it over. There's that bottom ribbon cable for the button controls. For the bottom, home button controls. Push that in and gently clamp it down. Here's the plastic case that goes over top. And you clamp that down. Whenever people do this the first time, they're always worried about breaking things. Okay, I was interrupted by a phone call. I just wanted to talk about how you put the front assembly back in. You want to carefully put up where the speaker part is without breaking that. Also, when you put it in the back assembly, you want to make sure that you have the volume button in place. It's kind of a rookie mistake with the Thunderbolt to put that in without the volume button in place, and that will then you have to disassemble it again, and it can be a real pain in the neck. So now you put the battery in and wrapping up the repair process. You can test it out without putting on that back assembly. Here I try to power it on, and I notice that the LCD doesn't work. It makes the Thunderbolt sound, which I'm overdubbing the sound right now just because. But it doesn't turn on, and so I had to go back through and replace that LCD, which isn't too bad. It's just hard to make it look absolutely perfect. With screen, when the glass breaks, I like to just take a pre-assembled LCD in glass and put it on. Those parts were tough to find. They've gotten a lot easier to find, and there was a bad batch that came through actually, and so for a little while some of those pre-assembled ones weren't they were working at first and then they were not working after a little while. Are you kidding me? But now that is not the case. As I was saying, the screens at first, I like to buy them pre-assembled for the glass repair. So the LCD and glass are adhered together, just makes it a cleaner process. Whoever manufactured them was pumping out some faulty parts there for a little while, and of course there's not too many options of where to order from. But the last few I've seen come through, our wholesaler assured us that the parts should all be in working order now. So there were a couple customers that weren't too happy because their product worked at first and then after a while it didn't. But now the assembly looks better when you buy them pre-assembled, and everything seems to be working. So if you want to buy them pre-assembled from us, they are the updated ones. We don't have any of the old pre-assembled models where the parts went bad, so it should all be good now. And if you deal with a screen repair, it is the way to go. It's difficult to remove the LCD without damaging the LCD, and so just buying them pre-assembled with broken glass is a good way to go. If the LCD went bad, maybe you just want to buy a new LCD and do it that way. This bottom plastic piece is the last thing I want to discuss. When you put that in here at the bottom, sometimes you take it out and put it back in, no problem. Sometimes it'll pop out, we discovered, and sometimes it just doesn't go back in there correctly, even when it looks like you didn't alter the design at all. So what we do is we actually chisel the bottom notches and just place it back in there. Sometimes put a little adhesive in and make sure do it in a way so it still holds up, so no dirt will get underneath the glass. So the HTC Thunderbolt has some quirks when it comes to reassembly for sure, but you can figure it out and get it very close to perfect, but sometimes not absolutely perfect, but definitely back to working order and a phone that you can have fun with. This is Repair Launch. Thanks for watching.